Hello, family and friends. Welcome to Psych the podcast. So, on the last episode, it was a general introduction of what Psych the podcast is about. So, if you've not listened to that episode, please go back and listen. Thank you very much, because you will better understand moving forward. From the title of today's episode, if you don't know how to pronounce it, it is pronounced Menta Het. So, you will find that this is an easy way to pronounce mental health for us. Don't ask me why or how we pronounce it like that. That's just what it is. I'm going to be talking about what Menta Het is. What is it really? In Nigeria, you won't be surprised that some people don't know that mental health is an actual thing. Like, you can say mental health, but is that even a thing? It's not until recently that people began to acknowledge the fact that they actually have mental health, like it is part of their health, and that it is under attack or they're staying away from certain things because of their mental health. Shout out to Gen Z. So yes, let's define mental health. What is it really? Because now that we've established that mental health is an actual thing, what is this thing? So according to the World Health Organization, mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. There are a few things I'd like to explain. First of all, just know also your mental health refers to your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. We all have mental health. It is part of our health. It is that thing that affects how we think, feel, and act. And if you ask me, that is the most important part of health. Of course, I'll be biased because health is like including physical health. But for something that affects how we think, feel, and act, that is the whole of you. That's what makes you you. And that is why your mental health is really important, because it has an impact on the way we cope, the way we interact, the way we form relationships, the way we view ourselves, even how we function daily. Yes, so poor mental health will result in a lot of different things, and good mental health or sound mental health will also result in a lot of different things. So mental health is like the whole spectrum, and the good and poor mental health are on two different ends of the spectrum. So just imagine, let's say, a number line from -10 to 0, then to +10. Let's take +10 to be the positive values and -10 to be the negative values, of course, when relating to mental health. If your mental health is on 9, you'll see that you are like functioning optimally, and it is possible that your mental health is on 0 or is on -3 or is on -10. The whole number line is your mental health, but the point at which you are, everybody has different points on the spectrum. So don't go out there saying you don't have mental health, or when you hear mental health, the first thing that comes to your mind is there's a problem. No, mental health doesn't necessarily mean mental illness. There's a very big difference. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to break down this definition. First of all, something very important, that an individual realizes his own abilities. So when you are conscious of the things that you can do and the things that you can't do, or the level or degree to which you can do certain tasks, that's very important. 2, the individual can cope with the normal stresses of life. Now, we all know the normal stresses of life. You know that you're trying to get an education. And in getting an education, there's the fact that you need to have a routine, to wake up by a certain time, to maybe go to class by a certain time. And then of course, there's weekends, there's extracurricular activities. So if you can cope with these normal stresses, these are the things that come with being a student. Finding this, finding that, going to the library, being able to cope with that or not being able to cope with that, still part of mental health. Thirdly, the individual can work productively and fruitfully. So this is sound mental health, that you can work productively and fruitfully. You have a goal, you are working towards that goal, you are making progress towards that goal, and fruitfully, you can actually see the results of the things that you are working towards. Because this, I'm talking about it in an educational setting. So you being able to get your assignment done and submit it on time, that's fruitful work. You even being able to go to the library and get the relevant material that you need for your work, that is fruitful, that is productive. Then lastly, you are able to make a contribution to your community. Shout out to all the volunteers out there, people that are juggling going to school and being volunteers. I'm a volunteer. So if you can contribute meaningfully, are you staying on campus? Is there a community on campus that you're a part of? I mean, you're not just getting from the community, you're also contributing to that community. For example, are you staying in the hostel? Do you take part in hostel activities? That could be contributing. I mean, there's no community without individuals, right? So yeah, that is basically the definition of mental health. And yes, it is a thing. It is a thing. And there's something I want to stress. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. But some people are not ready for that conversation yet. There is no health without mental health. In fact, I think I'm going to brand this on a t-shirt and wear it. Really, there's no health without mental health. Because from the definition we just talked about, mental health affects how you think, feel, and act. So how can you say that mental health is not, I'm not coming out for anybody, but how can you say that mental health is not part of health? Or that it's not an actual thing? Here's your proof that mental health is an actual thing. So now that we have established that mental health is an actual thing, let's move on to people's misconceptions and the actual facts about mental health. Now, these are general myths that people have. General myths from all over the world, not specifically in Nigeria, not specifically in Africa, but these are general myths that these are general myths out there. Number one, if a person has a mental health condition, it means that they have low intelligence. So if you hear that somebody is suffering or is dealing with depression, all of a sudden you equate it to the person not being intellectually sound. That is, no, we can't say that, because the fact is, mental illness, like physical illness, can affect anybody, regardless of how intelligent you are, your socioeconomic status. Mental health can affect anybody. Then there's this one is actually very funny, that you don't need to take care of your mental health till it deteriorates. Says who? Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But on the other hand, if it ain't broke, you gotta maintain it. You have to maintain your mental health. Like I said, remember the mental health number line that I gave an example of? There are some people that are on +9. And if you don't maintain your mental health, you are gradually going to be sinking to a 0 and begin to enter the negative numbers. So no, everybody actually needs to take care of their mental health. You need to take active steps and create healthy habits when it comes to your mental health. That's why I give mental health tip at the end of the episode. Moving on, some people believe that mental health is just mood swings when it comes to teenagers. Like I said before, everybody has mental health. Old, young, boy, girl, man, woman, whoever, everybody has a mental health. But then some people dampen the reality of some teenagers by saying it's just mood swings, they'll get over it. Actually, no, because we know that teenagers are going through puberty. There's hormonal imbalance here and there. And just in case you don't know, half of all mental health conditions actually start by the age of 14. So as you grow, you're already at risk of a mental health illness. So imagine that a child is dealing with depressive symptoms from the age of 14 and you keep watering it down as a mood swing. Then proactive steps cannot be taken to deal with that issue. Another myth is that nothing can be done to protect people from developing mental health conditions. There are actually different factors that we can do to prevent people from developing mental health conditions, most especially people that are genetically predisposed to mental illnesses. Yeah, I know, mind-blowing, right? Mental health is so serious that it can be passed genetically. There are some mental illnesses like depression that are hereditary, and having a community, having strong social and emotional skills, and seeking support can actually go a long way in curbing people and protecting them from developing mental health conditions. And having a strong social support system is very important, from family, friends, people that are really close to you. Another mental health myth is that it is a sign of weakness. I know some African parents almost left the group chat, but please come back. It is part of our culture for everybody to be strong. I'm sure that in Africa, you have to chest all these things, You need to be a strong girl. You can fight this, Having a mental health illness is not a sign of weakness. If people were actually strong, then they won't even have this condition to begin with. truth is that having a mental health illness is not a condition that anybody would choose. I mean, will I just wake up one morning and decide today and for the next 6 months of my life, I am going to be anxious? Nobody does that. Anybody can develop a mental health condition, and it is not a sign of weakness. I believe that one of the things that contributes to us holding strong to this belief is the fact that we don't even understand what the symptoms are, so we can't easily identify it. Another would be that you don't have a reason to have a mental illness, so you can't and you shouldn't. I mean, you don't lack anything. You have all you need. This one, I'm coming after African parents too. But we're giving you everything that you need. You have a roof over your head. You're going to school. You have food. There's your siblings. You have friends. So why are you behaving like this? You don't have anything to be anxious about. You don't have anything to be depressed about. And I keep hammering on depression because depression is a common mental health condition. And it is as a result of many different things. So young people like me feel pressured to succeed. I mean, have you been to Nigeria? It's like it's a rat race out here. If you don't make it in school, you can't ever make it in life. But I believe that we're gradually changing, we're evolving, because there's different paths to success. It's not necessarily getting an education. So you see, the pressure to perform in academics is very, very high. As a Nigerian, you know that like you have to go to school and get an education to be a successful person. And I don't blame them, because this is the best that they can give us. This is the best that they have to give us. I mean, for the general majority. I'm not talking about students that have a company to inherit. I'm not talking about students that have a family business to, be employed under. The vast majority of us, this is the best our parents have to give. So because of that, you don't have anything to be depressed or anxious about. Also, there is a myth that mental health conditions are worse if you talk about them. So some people believe that talking about your mental health challenges makes it worse because they feel that you have to keep it a secret, and that is very unhelpful. It actually stops people from reaching out because they are not sure, and then of course it perpetuates stigma. Imagine somebody talking about having suicidal thoughts, and before you know it, in class the following morning everybody's whispering and talking about it. But actually talking positively and safely about issues that are regarding your mental health actually helps people rather than harm them. So instead of all the side talks and all of this, people also need to know who they can trust to be able to share these feelings safely and respectfully and accuracy. So we're talking about having positive conversation. There's a lot of education that needs to take place in this regard. There's also this myth that people suffering from a mental health illness are scary or dangerous. This is just an incorrect assumption. I mean, there's stereotypes of mad people, in quotes, harming, pursuing, trying to hit women, men, children. And these assumptions are not fair because this is just based off of fear and stigma and marginalization. In fact, people with mental health illnesses are more likely to be victims rather than perpetrators of crime. I mean, really, think about it. That man that you think is mad, or that woman you think is roaming the streets, packing bottles and gathering waste, has she really ever been a problem to anybody? No. As a matter of fact, there is this lady that roams my streets and she is coherent. You can greet her and she'll reply. Sometimes, if she's eating and people are passing by, she can invite them to eat. Now, that woman is vulnerable because she doesn't have a secure place to live. She's out there on the streets. Anything can happen at any time. And so, mental health problems should not be feared. There's really no basis for you to believe that because a person is facing this mental health challenge, then they are a risk to others. Also, there's the myth that only mental health practitioners can offer any real help. Well, this is not true. Like I said earlier, it is important for us to have social support from our close friends, family members, and relatives. Once you have that on lockdown, I mean, it goes a long way. Even in school, when lecturers are aware of such, I think that it will change their perspective with the way they relate with students. That's my opinion anyway. In Nigeria, for the longest time, mental health has been a taboo topic to talk about, because apart from the fact that we are just discovering that mental health is an actual thing, we don't even talk about such things. It comes off as you being weak. If you're a man and you have a mental health challenge, it threatens your masculinity, and this is because when you meet somebody, or if you know a person in your family that is going through a mental health challenge, they exhibit strange symptoms that you don't know and you can't identify. And so it's something else. Also, for the fact that Nigeria is a highly religious country, and culture is very important to us, the views about mental health are generally negative, sadly. So a research was carried out in 2017, I believe, and the results from people's views about mental health is something else. So 52% of the population says that having a mental health challenge is a spiritual problem. And this research was carried out across the country. 27% said it was as a result of being too studious. And 25% of the people think that it is a precondition to be wealthy. Like I said, we're a highly religious country, so it's not even far from the first point that says spiritual problem. So some people believe that it is actually a precondition to be wealthy. Of course, these people suggested ways that we can prevent mental health illness. Generally, from the results of this research that was carried out across the country in 2017, we can see that there is a gross lack of knowledge about what mental health is, because what mental health is and what mental health illnesses are. And psychoeducation will go a long way to correct people's views about mental health illnesses and mental health in general. This was a pretty intense topic, and I hope that you have a better understanding of what mental health is and what mental health illnesses are, what the myths are and what they aren't. So the mental health tip for this episode would be talk about your feelings. And when I say talk about your feelings, I mean use your feelings words. It is possible for you to identify your emotions. When you do this, it becomes easier for you to talk about them. For example, if you're feeling some type of way, then you need to sit down with yourself and carefully examine, what are you really feeling? I understand that there are times when you don't know what you're feeling, but then there are other times that you know the emotions you're feeling. For example, you can feel angry, sad, you can be happy, you can be excited. Talk about them. I talk about my feelings when I'm excited, and I use my feelings words. So, you're excited? Say it. I'm excited. Sometimes it's like we need to say it so that we can hear it. You're angry? Say it. Then you can be able to talk about what is making you angry. Sometimes you don't need to talk about your feelings to get a solution. You just need to talk about the way that you're feeling in that time and at that moment. So talk about your feelings and use your feelings words. Until next time, bye.